Path Media.
And Tay is acting a fool. He is acting a fool, and he reveals to us, the viewer, that he's low key blackmailing Mon.
You're listening to
Path of the Jedi
with your host, Ronnie Cruz.
All right, welcome to Path of the Jedi, the podcast where Star Wars meets personal development. My name is Ronnie Cruz, your host for this uneasy adventure. That's right, uneasy. For a lot of reasons, and I know I always say that. Every week, the word of the week is for a lot of reasons. Same this week, a lot of reasons. Primarily because all our characters, all our heroes, main characters in this show are facing this looming threat, right? There's this impending doom. You know, as I mentioned last week, like a storm brewing on the horizon that's getting ready to erupt in all their lives. Every single storyline that we've followed so far in the show, in the first two episodes of this season of Andor, it seems like something is coming, something major is coming, and all our characters are very uneasy about it. I mean, obviously Mon is uneasy. I mean, Mon is just gets squeezed on all sides all the time, no matter what season we're watching. Right, in season one, she's just kind of caught in the middle of everything, and now she's in the middle of everything again. And on top of being in the middle of all this political intrigue, she's got this wedding that she has to make sure it goes off without a hitch. And everybody in Chandrila is so insufferable. Chandrilan culture is so insufferable, and so she has to deal with all of that all at once. So there, lots of uneasiness. If I was in her position, I would be drinking heavily for the entire 3-day ceremony. But she manages to navigate it so well and with such composure. That's one of my favorite attributes about Mon as a character. She's just so well composed in the face of so much adversity and so many challenges. And so, very, very tough situation that she's in. We'll talk more about that later on in this episode. But even somebody like Cyril, we finally get to see Cyril again, right? He didn't make an appearance in episode 1, but we finally see him in this episode, and he seems to be living his best life. Like, he's living with the girl of his dreams, the girl who he had stalked and obsessed over and fixated on last season. He's now living with her, right? They're living together, Cyril and Dedra, and so he's living his ideal situation. But for some reason, he seems to be uneasy about something. Well, I mean, it is Cyril, right? Like, he's easily agitated. So even Cyril in his ideal situation is uneasy. So everybody, top to bottom is uneasy. Now uneasy also because I'm a little uneasy as well. Uneasy, excuse me. Yeah, I'm just overall uneasy. I've been uneasy today. It's just, again, one of those days, right? Like, focus and concentration has been a little difficult, and it might be in the face of knowing that I have to record this episode, I have to produce this episode, and the deep desire to want to give you an episode that's worth listening to, right? An episode that can that provides you some sort of value, if nothing else, entertainment, right? I'm uneasy, I guess, of that responsibility, and I know it's self-imposed. I've largely just put all this pressure on myself to deliver these episodes every week. But I mean, I love doing it at the same time. It's just one of those things that I kind of have to wrestle with. And I will say this again. I've said this before in past episodes. It's not. It's a state of mind that is not foreign to me, so it's just the season and the phase that I'm going through right now with my mental state and my mental health. I say that only to give you information. It's not a cry for help. It's something that I'm navigating right now, and it on days like today, it does present a challenge it does present a challenge. So I'm a little uneasy, but hopefully by the end of the episode, I will, you will have gotten something out of the content, and we can go on with our lives and go about our weeks and wait for another episode next week. That said, let's chat about a few things before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. The first thing is guests. Guest. Obviously, no guests today. I'd be a lot more composed if there was. It's just been tough. It's just been tough. There's no guests today, and I actually still have not reached out to any of my fellow podcasters to invite them on to the show, at the very least for this Andor run. And I know I keep saying that I'm going to do it, and I will. I promise I will do it. Me continuing to talk about it is my way of staying accountable to it. It's been tough, and it's going to sound like an excuse, and it really is an excuse. But with the state of my mental health, already a challenge, and then just recording a regular weekly solo episode is a challenge as a result of that. And then you compound that with doing something completely new and foreign and scary. It's challenging. It's intimidating. Let's just say that it's intimidating. So I haven't done it yet, and yet being the operative word. I promise I will get to it. I will do it. But it's just one of those things. Getting through the week. And getting an episode out every week is a win on its own. Okay. All right. And I know you guys don't mind. I know you guys don't care. But I say this because, again, it's my way of keeping myself accountable. So we'll have some guests on here soon. Fret you not. I promise. I'm actually making a promise that I will make that happen. And besides, we have 12 episodes, right, of Andor. So there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time to get guests on. We have plenty of episodes, especially because I'm doing an episode a week. So yeah, we have plenty of time to make that happen. Which, as a complete tangent, I just recently realized why I'm so far behind, right? When I recorded last week's episode, I'm like, why am I like already 7 episodes behind? Well, I've come to learn since then that they are releasing the episodes, 3 episodes at a time of this season, and every 3 episodes is a year apart. In episode 1, we saw that it was BBY4, which means Battle Before Yavin, 4 years, right? So it's like BC in our own calendar, right? There's BC and AD. So BBY is before the Battle of Yavin, 4 years. And so each 3 episodes will be a year leading up to then Rogue One, right? It's 4 years. So each 3 episodes is a year, 4 years before Rogue One and the Battle of Yavin, episode 4, A New Hope. So I thought that was a cool little detail, and now I feel a little better about being so far behind. And again, that's just my self-imposed standard of being behind or caught up or whatever. But anyways, neither here nor there. We have plenty of time to get guests on. So if you're listening to this, if you're a podcaster, this is an open invite. Reach out to me. Let me know if you want to be on this show, if you like my format, if you like, the themes and the topics that we talk about. I'd love to have you on. Reach out to me on the YouTube version. You can leave a comment or, just message me directly on YouTube. Or on the podcast version, you can click that send me a text link and let me know. Yeah, just let me know that you want to hop on the show. And that actually happens to be a great segue for the ask. The ask. I'm trying to do this more towards the beginning of the episode so I don't forget. But if you're not already following the show or subscribed to the show, please go ahead and do so. Obviously, on the YouTube version, you can just hit subscribe or on the podcast version, hit that plus sign. But yeah, this will really be a huge help to us. It's the single best thing you can do to help help us grow this show. I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. My goal is to be a podcaster at the next Star Wars celebration, and even perhaps even a panelist of some sort, or presenter of some sort at the next Star Wars celebration in 2027. And so one of the criteria, obviously, to do that is for this show to be in higher circulation, right? To have more downloads. And one of the things that the algorithm looks for when it pushes shows out to more people is how many new subscribers or how many new followers the show is getting. So the more you follow, if you're not already following, the more the algorithm is like, okay, people like this, so let's give it to more people. So following would be a really, really huge help. And then, of course, be the next best thing you can do to help us grow the show is share it, right? Think of one person who you think might appreciate and enjoy the content, and just share it with them. By the end of this, you'll have a better idea. If you're new to the show, you'll have a better idea whether or not you like it, first of all, and whether or not there's somebody in your life that could benefit and that could appreciate the content. So I'd really appreciate it. It'd be a huge help to us getting to that goal. I do have to say that I've looked at the metrics recently, and we are starting to gain some traction. We're starting to get some traction. So whatever it is that you guys are doing on your end, it's helping. So keep doing more of it. I really, really appreciate it. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see me at Star Wars Celebration.
Classified, really? Me too. Big secret.
Okay, now that we got that out of the way, it's main course time. Meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and read the episode guide from StarWars.com. I'll leave a link to this in the show notes of this episode. I want to read this, number one, to save me from having to give you the summary myself, because that would take a whole 15 minutes. But also, it's better than the Disney Plus Disney Plus description. Those are largely useless. I mean, this isn't that much better, but it at least has more substance. Okay, Sagrona Teema, episode guide, Andor Season 2, Episode 2. The Empire arrives on Mina Rao, endangering Bix Kaleen, Brasso, and Wilman Pack, who are on the run after a violent insurrection on Ferrix. On Coruscant, Imperial Security Bureau Supervisor Dedra Miro frets about a new assignment that will take her to Gorman, while her partner Cyril Karn continues to climb the ladder at the Bureau of Standards. On Chandrila, Senator Mon Mothma's cover story for funding the rebellion is jeopardized when her friend and confidant Tay Kolma exhibits unpredictable behavior in the face of personal strife. Meanwhile, Cassian Andor plots to escape his captors. Okay, so the theme that I wanted to zoom in on for today's episode and discuss and talk about. I mean, there's so many, and I know I say this a lot, but anything Andor, there's always going to be so many things that we can discuss when it comes to themes, and because it's so well written from a character standpoint, right? The character development is incredible, and that's a testament to Tony Gilroy's ability as a writer. Right, he can tell this story. So much plot happens, but it happens through the journeys of these characters, as opposed to exposition and it's just a bunch of plot. This happening, right? It really is told through the lens of these characters' journey, and that's what I think is. That's what I believe is the reason why this particular show is so successful. But anyways, the one thing that I want to hone in on for today is so let me backtrack just to mention a few of the other things that I'm not going to talk about. The Idiot Brigade, right? The Idiot Brigade, who are so scatterbrained. The very opening scene with when we see Cassian in captivity, their inability ability to just focus on the things that actually matter. They argue about the dumbest things, and it really is for me a reflection of modern society, especially as a modern society exhibited in social media feeds. Right, like the general inability to focus on the things that matter, I think is something that doesn't get pointed out enough. and Tony Gilroy does a great job in illustrating that with the Idiot Brigade in these first two episodes. I mean, they're a clear example of dysfunction, and that the dysfunction is because they have an inability to focus on the important things. They could either easily have solved their problems and the situation that they are in if they were not too busy arguing about things that did not matter, right? Things that did not matter. So that's one thing. Another theme is being obsessed and fixating, which I gotta admit I have a tendency to do, but that's illustrated in Cyril and Dedra. Dedra is very much still fixated on Cassian, right, and on capturing Cassian. And so she's incredibly unhappy about being reassigned to Gorman, which she's neither here nor there about it, but she would rather be spending her time and Imperial resources on capturing somebody who is a real threat to the Empire. And then of course her partner, her boyfriend, Cyril, who is he just fixates on things anyways, right? Like he needs things to fixate on. He just kind of, I'm not going to put a label on it, but growing up in the situation that he grew up in, it's very understandable. So there's that theme. And then, of course, there's the theme of fascism and how citizens respond and react to fascist regimes. But for sure, it's front and center for Bix and for Brasso and for Will, who are hiding out on Minarao now that the Imperial forces are there to do an audit. Very relevant to present day U.S. Right, U.S. We see some stuff happening that is really, really unsavory, and so with this show, seeing how citizens and different people act and react and respond in the face of fascism is really, really just quite interesting, and not all that far off from reality, to be honest. So tons of different themes that we can talk about. And again, if you haven't watched this show, man, it is rich, it is dense, it is layered, and it is absolutely worth your time. It is absolutely worth your time.
I'm going in. Cover me, Porkins.
So before we go on, you may notice that there is a different quality in the sound for this part of the episode moving forward, different from the first half. Well, that is because I'm recording it on another day, on the next day. So there's probably a different quality to my voice, and there's definitely the room, the ambiance. I'm recording in a different room. I just want to let you know, I appreciate you if you're listening to this on the day of release. I appreciate you letting me release a little late. It's just one of those things. I couldn't get through the recording last night, all the way through the recording last night, so I'm continuing it today. You're listening to it now, so that means I got it done. So I appreciate your patience. Okay, now all the themes that I just listed out could easily have their own episode, and all could get their own full-length discussion. However, the thing that I do want to focus on for today is the relationship between Mon and Tay. Really, really interesting dynamic starting to develop. Well, not really develop, but unfold in the story. What we know from the past season, from season 1, is that Tay and Mon are lifelong friends. I think, if memory serves me correctly, they grew up together. So this is a relationship that seems, or up until this episode, seemed really, really reliable. It was one of those things that it's the type of relationship, type of friendship, where it seemed that one could really just count on the other when they need help, which is a really beautiful thing to have. If you have that level of a friendship, that close of a friendship, where you can rely on somebody and they can rely on you, vice versa, where you're willing to do things for them unconditionally, right? And you can count on them unconditionally. It's just such a nice thing to have in life, and like I feel like at least again up until this episode, that this is what Mon and Tay had, right? Mon was really relying on Tay as a friend and as a confidant to help her basically hide all these transactions, right? These transactions of large sums of money, which she was basically funneling to the rebellion. And that was really nice to see for Mon, because basically she has no friends, right? In Mon's world, even the people that she's supposed to be aligned with, like Luthen, he's not really much of a friend. He's not really much, I wouldn't count him as somebody that's in her corner necessarily. The relationship with Luthen is very transactional. He really is only interacting with her as long as he can get something from her. Yeah, she is a valuable piece of the rebellion for sure. But again, from Luthen's standpoint, like everybody's expendable. And then of course you have Perrin. Like he's just not really even in the equation, right? Mon's own family, her own husband and her own daughter aren't really much there for her either. One could argue her sister is very much in her corner, which is awesome. At least they have, she has that, and it's even better that they both are kind of fighting for the same cause. But outside of her sister, who does she have in this very kind of cloak and dagger life that she lives, as well as being a public figure and a senator? She just has. It seems like she just has no help at all. And so again, it was nice knowing that she had in Tay somebody that she could rely on. And then, of course, we get to this episode, and Tay is acting a fool. He is acting a fool, and he reveals to us, the viewer, that he's low key blackmailing Mon. One could argue that he is acting out of desperation, certainly, because of all the crap that's going on in his life, right? His investments going sour because of quote unquote rebel activity, and then his wife leaving him, and now he seems to be having a drinking problem. But that's no excuse, right? That's no excuse to sell out somebody who was supposed to be your friend, right? So it just really it shows me that he may not have really considered her much of a friend in the first place, and that the relationship, at least from his side, was perhaps more transactional than not. Mon, on the other hand, at least I would like to think, is the kind of friend that would eventually take care of her friend, right? Yeah, she may not be able to do it right now because there's a ton going on with the rebellion, as well as she's in the middle of this wedding. But she doesn't strike me as somebody who would just forget a favor, right? Forget a favor. And even if Tay were to be like, yeah, it's no big deal. Like I got your back. You don't have to get me back. It's no problem. It's our friendship. Even if Tay acted unconditionally, I still think Mon would have done something down the road to make sure that she continues to nurture that relationship and make sure that she's the kind of person who would return the kindness, right? That she's reliable like that as a friend, whether you ask it of her or not. And again, well, I mean, that's what I think makes her a great leader and a integral part of this growing rebellion, is because she is. You can count on her, right? You can count on her as an individual. Tay not so much, right? And it's really a beautiful scene between the two of them. Well, beautiful in the sense that it was performed beautifully by the two actors. When Tay again is low key blackmailing Mon, and then Mon realizes what he's doing. Right, Mon realizes what he's saying. Yeah, Genevieve O'Reilly just nails it. She doesn't say anything. Just the look on her face. You know the instant that she realizes that Tay is blackmailing her, and just the utter shock, like the complete and utter shock that her friend, her lifelong friend, is now blackmailing her for money. Poor Mon, it seems, can't catch a break. And I think, again, it's a testament to the writing. And this is why, at least for me, like I continue to root for Mon more and more, because she has so many adversities coming at her from every angle, So all of this has really got me thinking about relationships and dynamics between, the relationships that we have in life. And I guess the question that I want to pose to you today is, are you the kind of friend who is transactional? Or are you the kind of friend who is unconditional? Now, of course, this is going to vary, right? There's no either or, I guess. I know it's a poorly worded question because I did say or. But wherever you are on the spectrum, depending on the specific relationship, how transactional are you, and how unconditional are you as a friend? And depending on the individual and depending on where you fall on that spectrum with the specific friend, I really believe determines the closeness and the quality of that relationship, of that friendship. For me personally, I've always kind of operated as with the philosophy that if I can do something for you, if I can help you with something, then I'll do it. Yeah, I mean, with no strings attached. And that might sound like a really kind of risky proposition, but I think most, if not everybody, has that innate within them, right? Like, as a social species, I think we naturally always want to help each other out, right? I think then the complication is the modern society and modern life has maybe made it harder and harder over time to have that level of openness and trust in each other. But I think again, it is innate in all of us to be this way. Now, that's not to say that I'm, saying yes to everything, right? Arguably, there may have been some things in the past where I should have said no to, but I definitely don't say no to everything. Like, there's a difference between being an unconditional friend and somebody who has the inability to say no. Right? Being a people pleaser is not a healthy thing, right? Not being able to say no is an unhealthy thing, right? And it just tips the scales way out of whack, right? It's completely imbalanced. You're sacrificing of yourself to the point where it's unhealthy. Being unconditional is, again, it's doing things for people that are within your limits, that you feel like you can do and want to do, and not expecting anything in return, right? There's no strings attached. That's really the distinction. And again, really, for me, I was thinking about it in terms of, the category of friends, like where you are on the friend spectrum. Like, if that makes a difference, whether you're a close friend or, a friend or, just kind of an acquaintance, like does that change how I interact with them and the level of unconditionality, let's say. For sure, the people that are closest to me, right, the relationships that are closest to me is unconditional across the board. But then I got to thinking about it with the friendships and acquaintanceships that I have, and it's still very much the same, right? It's still very much the same. Now, I'm not going to necessarily do big things for people that aren't as close to me as the closest relationships. But little things are I expect nothing in return, basically. And this might seem like putting yourself in a vulnerable position to be taken advantage of, like perhaps Tay feels that has happened to him. Although, again, I think he's just projecting his own misery, and looking for somebody to blame and looking for somebody to finding a way to dig himself out of the hole. And as a result, victimizing somebody else. But in general, yeah, no, it doesn't really happen that way. It doesn't really happen that way. Opening yourself up and being unconditional with giving, I don't think is ever a bad thing. And when I say giving, I don't necessarily mean like giving stuff or money or always doing things for people. The giving in a sense is just being a friend, right? Giving of yourself as a friend. I don't think it's ever a bad thing. I don't think it's ever a bad thing to do so unconditionally and to have no strings attached and to expect nothing in return. What is it to be a friend? It costs nothing. It costs nothing. And so I think, having operated this way, as a result, then it just gets reflected back in how people interact with me, right? And I guess this is the message that I want to leave you with today. When you're going into an interaction or into a relationship with conditions, right? If you're going into the situation transactionally and you're expecting something in return, then you open yourself up to having those expectations potentially not be met. And you might be thinking, well, I have to have standards, right? I have to protect myself. But really, what ends up happening is this is how walls are created, and we, I think, live in a world where more and more walls are going up, and we're having less and less real connection with people. It is impossible to develop close, meaningful connection with walls. It's impossible to develop close, meaningful relationships if you're being transactional with people. Tay has destroyed one of the longest lasting, perhaps most meaningful friendships that he's had in his life with Mon because he decided to make it transactional. So if you're going to be a friend unconditionally, and you'll find that most people will do the same for you. If you want deeper, more meaningful relationships, it starts with you being an unconditional friend. Okay, so that's the episode. Hopefully it makes sense. I think, if you want deeper, more meaningful relationships, I think there's really the way to go. And being unconditional and being a good person to other people, I think is something that we all naturally do, right? We all, I think, innate within us, want to make those connections, but the world is kind of, all the things that we're exposing ourselves to as far as like the information and in media and on the internet, I think can make us cynical about life and about other people and about society and community and all this stuff. But really, I think we all crave the same thing, and that's connection, deep and meaningful connection. And the only way to get there, as I said, is to be unconditional with the friendship that you offer people, right? I mean, definitely worthy of longer discussion, but I'm going to leave it at that. It is something that I would love to see more of in the world, and if you need a friend, reach out. reach out. You know how to reach me. You can leave a comment in the comment section below if you're listening to this on YouTube, or you can click that send a text link on the podcast version. Anyways, I'm going to move on to the shout out. This week's shout out goes to Jennifer Welder. That's right, Jennifer Welder, who I've given a shout out to before in the past. She was previously known as Jennifer Blatnick. Jennifer Welder. She's gotten married since the last time I gave her a shout out. She is my acupuncturist, and for the past decade has just been, she's just been an important part of my journey as far as staying on balanced, or staying as balanced as I possibly can be. The last couple of years, I haven't seen her as often and regularly as I used to, but recently, just within the last month, really, I've started seeing her again very regularly, like on a monthly basis, and it's just she, again, integral in my mental health, and I talked a lot about my mental health in the past handful of weeks on this show. So I wanted to give Jennifer a shout out because I shared something with her, and she was the first person I shared it with, and I'm going to share it with you today. I've only talked about this with 3 people total, Jennifer being the first of those people. But my mental health is in a state it's in a state where I am wanting more help, right? And I've never considered this before in the past. I've never entertained it, but I'm really, it's just one of those things. I'm needing to entertain this option. And I told Jennifer, look, Jennifer, I've been thinking about seeing a psychiatrist, seeing a doctor, right? Seeing a clinician, because I think I might need medication. And I didn't know how she would react, because she's kind of more on the natural integrative kind of modality. I mean, she's acupuncturist, right? But she was fully supportive of it, right? She was fully supportive, and she's kind of continued to urge me. I haven't done it yet, but she's continued to urge me to follow through with that inclination, right? And she's even given me referrals and recommendations, and I say this because for any of you listening, if you happen to be going through a rough patch, at the very least, seek help, right? I'm not a professional, and I don't want you to just rely on this show and on me as your source of getting help. Yes, I will continue to always be here for you, and do my best to provide you with insights and things that I think can help you on your journey. But I am not a trained professional. I am not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist or any of that, right? I'm just a guy that likes Star Wars and happens to be in personal development. The encouragement and support that Jennifer has given me to move forward with seeing a doctor, I do the same for you, right? I want to pass that forward, and so if you're going through a really rough patch, I encourage you to see a professional, see a therapist, see a clinician, see a doctor, whatever it might be, because we can't do it on our own. We can't do it on our own. As much as I I pride myself, and I know pride is a deadly sin, but I pride myself in being versed in human psychology as just somebody who's interested in the subject and personal development, of course, but there's only so much I can do, and being in the position that I am right now, I can't even help myself. Right, and so I want you to understand that there is help out there, right? Beyond yourself, especially beyond me, beyond this show. I encourage you to seek out that help if you need it, right? The last thing I want is for you to feel like you can't be helped and feel like there are no other options. And Jennifer has really done that for me, and that's why I wanted to give her a shout out. I doubt she listens to this show, but I really, she encourages me to lean into the things that my gut and my instinct are telling me to do, and I encourage you to do the same, especially with something like seeking help. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do for me. I told her this like 4 weeks ago, and I still haven't done it. Like she sent me those recommendations and those referrals 4 weeks ago, and I still haven't pulled the trigger yet. But I like in talking about it, I'm getting closer and closer, and I'm being super transparent and vulnerable with you here today, and it's only because I want you, I want to give you the strength and courage to do the same, right, to do the same. It's not an easy step to take for a lot of us, and if you find yourself in this position where you need help, but you've been hesitating, go do it. Go seek help. It really important. Really important. Of course, I'll be here every week, right? You can still count on me every week, but beyond that, you should seek help, and that's what Jennifer has done for me. So I want to give her a shout out. She's just been amazing. Again, for the last decade that I've been going to see her as an acupuncturist, and she's been integral so far in helping me get out of this latest cycle of depression. So Jennifer, if you're out there listening, which I hope you are, at least someday, this week's shout out goes to you. Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode. Again, thank you for your patience. I appreciate your understanding in allowing me to get this episode out a little later than normal, but we got it out nonetheless. We're sticking to it, and it feels so good. It feels, again, counting your wins, right? It feels like such a win that I've been able to stay on track and get an episode out every week. So thank you for your support, right? You give me purpose. You give me purpose with this show. So I really appreciate it. And again, my commitment is to continue to give you a weekly episode. So hope you have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We will catch you next week with Andor Season 2, Episode 3. So until then, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and may the Force be with you.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company nor Lucasfilm Limited and is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names and sounds and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is intellectual property of Path of the Jedi unless otherwise indicated.